First of all, I'd like to apologize for the last Board of Authority meeting. I had company and got carried away and forgot about it, but the important thing is our community is so strong that they went ahead and made a bunch of decisions by themselves, and it was, I would have agreed on everything too. We don't have a flag tonight, you guys, but we're going to stand up and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody take off their hats. Let's face the exit sign.
There's a flag and pole in the back room.
This is fine. This is fine. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight. We have Tobacco Township, Beaverton Township, and the city of Beaverton representing everybody here tonight to make a decision on our new fire hall. Everybody's coming in a good cause. I didn't print up an agenda tonight, but we are taking roll call, and Madeline's sending a piece of paper out. I'd like to have everybody sign in if they could, so we got record of who was here, like I wasn't last week. But I was gonna read the minutes of last week, but we don't have those, right, Madeline? Okay. Some of the old business that I wanted to get covered before we got started tonight was we need a representative for the city of Beaverton. And it was mentioned that Ray Naw would like to be on it. He's got a good rapport by all the firemen. And I don't know if we would like to make a nomination tonight. As soon as we can get someone nominated or get him approved by everybody here, we can get him sworn in as soon as possible. Bill?
That's the city of Beaverton's authority, not everybody else's.
Okay. Bill, I'm going to contact Ray myself then.
Bob, actually, Ray's right here.
Okay. Ray, I'm sorry, I haven't met you yet.
That's fine.
Ray, we would be honored if you would represent the city of Beaverton. You got a good rapport by all the firemen, like I said before. I think talking from me and Bart Whiter, we would be honored to have you with us. Be the treasurer. And
I've got to stop you right there. I can't, my wife is the secretary of the fire department.
is there a conflict of interest there, Bill? Or Ray? Pardon? You're going to be the treasurer? Then Ray can.
No, Ray can't because
I
he's
can't
on
because
the
of my
board of
wife.
the building authority. And he can't because Jill is the secretary for the fire department.
Well, I don't know all the legalities, but what?
So anybody can be the treasurer. If anybody wants to volunteer to be the treasurer, we'd welcome it.
Well, I'm going to leave that up to the board of authority. We'll decide that later.
And
That's another
Bart
name.
will be on there with them. His name will be on the bank account with them.
Right, there's two. So we'll go on. But you will get sworn in as soon as possible.
Okay?
Okay, and that would be Nyla Fry, I believe.
Correct, that's what she told me.
Yep, get sworn in and we'll welcome you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Some more old business. We talked about having Keith Wolf be the job site rep. He's got a lot of experience in that field. Bart was gonna talk to him. Bill Lang has already talked to him. He said he would like to do it. He doesn't want to do it every day of the week, but he said 2 or 3 times a week. If we had specific things like concrete pour, just common things that a seasoned person would do, I would like to have him be on that, take that role. And when Bart gets back, we're going to decide that. And
Would we have like a little committee or something to do that? Like Bill Lang and Keith
I
Wolf?
think we can just appoint them or whatever.
Yeah, Bill Lang and I and Bart have all talked to Keith, and he's willing to do that.
He's senior or junior?
Senior.
Senior.
Yep, yep. He's got a lot of experience in that, and we're gonna, as soon as Bart gets back, we're gonna talk about money, how much we could pay him for a whole year and get that taken care of, but we're gonna have Keith do that. If we do that, do we want Keith to look over the prints on these drawings and just go forward?
I'd say go forward.
Okay, all right. Sometime tonight I want Dean Matthews to talk about the lighting in the parking lot, that you talked to me after the meeting the other night, okay? I'll bring that up later. Is Matt Rucci here?
No, he's not.
Okay, we was gonna talk about the sewer system with him. I have zoning paperwork, and to go forward with this project, we need to appoint someone. If we're gonna have JDS do this, I think we're all in agreement that we're gonna have JDS be our contractor. We have to do that tonight, and we gotta vote on what plan we're gonna do. And that's gotta be done before we even have anybody appointed to take care of the zoning paperwork. Since I work every day, and Bart does too, I'm gonna look for a volunteer or someone that can go to the zoning commission and handle all this stuff.
It should be done by Beaverton Township, it's in their authority, it's in their township. They should deal with the county.
I'm going Monday.
You're going for what, Madeline?
I'm going to the zoning Monday.
Zoning commission?
Yeah, I gotta go up to Gladwin anyway, so I'll just stop in there on the way.
What are you gonna do there?
I gotta find out how that's zoned. Bill's just said I had to find out how that's zoned in there.
I've talked to Justin Snyder. He sent me all the paperwork. I've got extra copies here. There's a step-by-step agenda that you have to follow in order to get your zoning done.
Okay.
And I'd like to appoint someone that's got some building,
I mean,
building prowess that can go up there and do that.
She just said she's gonna do it.
No, we need someone that's got experience, Bill.
well,
That
I'm
knows
just finding out
construction.
how that is, right? If we can do it.
Okay, we'll decide this again later too, Bill, but it's zoned out there.
So you need to apply for your zoning permits, that's all you need to do.
Yep.
Which is a step-by-step plan, you're gonna tell them how it's gonna be parking lot, where the entrance is gonna be. I mean, it's a
Yep.
simple form to fill out. I did it when I opened a business.
It is simple, but I want someone that's got some construction background or knows all the details. We gotta have a footprint where the north and south corners are gonna go,
Right.
etc. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Tonight, we're gonna pick Plan A or Plan B. And this was brought up in probably 3 or 4 meetings prior to this. When we get the money for this project, it's gonna be Tobacco Township, the city of Beaverton, and the township of Beaverton is all gonna get their own loans for the sum of money that we need, and they're gonna make their own payments. And that's the simplest way that the bank came up with. So, then there's no confusion. Okay? Other than that, who's gonna run the screen? Does anybody have any comments before we go forward? Okay. Can you state your name, please?
Max Holmes,
Okay.
City of Beaverton, and I got your stuff about the sewer and stuff coming.
Okay, thanks, Matt. That's, have you been working with Matt Rucci on that? Okay, thanks, Matt, I'm glad you brought that up. Does anybody else have anything? Any comments?
I only got the one plan on the computer.
Okay. Should we, before we get started, we've only got one plan, we got Plan A on there. And I believe the fire department, the firemen themselves all got together and picked a plan. We had 2 plans drawn up. If you notice, Plan B is a little bit cheaper, but it would take out some bays. And I think, didn't the firemen all vote on one plan?
We talked about it kind of at that last meeting with everybody, and
Okay.
The difference in price, I believe, was $20,000. The 10-bay building is round figure 840. The 9-bay building, I believe, was 820, just in case anyone's wondering.
Here's the plan right
you
here.
say if anybody hasn't got them, here's a copy of the bid for the building that's up there right now, and it's got both prices in it. I got lots of them here. Lots of copies.
Okay, does anybody have any more comments? Any concerns? Okay, who's gonna run the projector and who's gonna go up there and, Dean, why don't you, huh? Well, let me just say something else. Go ahead, Dean, you can go up and start going up there. We got an initial plan and it came out pretty high. And the firemen got together and redesigned what they thought was not needed and what they needed. And they considerably dropped the price of this fire hall. And I commend you for that, you guys. We appointed them to get together and have a special meeting and do that. And they made it better. One thing we did, all the offices and the showers and all that stuff is gonna be on one end of the building. And we redesigned it so we got an upper level now for storage, and they're gonna include a stairway and maybe a future bedroom or storage or whatever.
All your heating and cooling and stuff.
All the heating and cooling's up out of the way, so, and that's what's on these guys, so, go ahead, Dean.
It's pretty self-explanatory, everybody can see. It's kind of hard to read. If anybody wants to see what the rooms are, for some reason it won't show up on the projector. There's prints laid out on the table. You got 5 bays front and back. Then there'll be a big meeting room, training room. There'll be 3 offices. There'll be one for the chief and assistant chief, one for the lieutenants and the firemen to do training in on the computer, and then there'll be an office for Jill, our secretary, so she can get her stuff at the fire hall where it's supposed to be.
Eddie, isn't there a requirement, the stuff that she has at her house right now needs to be kept at the fire hall?
By law, it's supposed to be, yes.
And currently it's not, you don't have.
There's no room. We set an office, a spare office up. We're trying to get EMS to bring a rig down, knock down our rescue runs. They're actually adding another rig this summer. And kind of talking with them, we're hoping that they'll bring the rig down and park it in the hall to keep it closer to Beaverton, for a quicker response to them, and then they'll knock down some of our runs. We're running about 90% to 95% rescue runs right now. Depends on what it is, if they send us or not. They're not supposed to send us on if it's just somebody that wants transported to the hospital. They got codes that they use. So hopefully we can get them to come down there if we get this bill. We got men's and women's bathroom. We got one room that's a shower, that has a shower in it, so if somebody comes back from a fire and they want to take a shower so they don't take the contaminants home with them, they can shower at the fire hall. We got a room for cleaning equipment, and then there was a room for our breathing air compressor that we have. The compressor that we're using right now, we bought, when we had that, probably 7 or 8 years ago, we bought it. More than that, 8 years ago. We paid $25,000 for that compressor, and the only place we got to have it right now is sitting out on the edge of our wash bay. So when they're washing trucks, they gotta pull a tarp around it to try to keep it from getting wet. See on the drawing here, there's a stairway which will go upstairs. It's gonna be built for storage and for the furnace, and that stuff is all going up there. Some of the things that we looked at after, that's on here still, we was talking to the guy that came, he was gonna be here tonight, but he didn't come because of the weather. They had lighting in the parking lot. Find it here. On the back page on the lighting, under the electrical, they had 6 site lights, including the base. He said those are $2,400 a piece. And they had 12 lights on the building. I said, we don't need the lights out in the parking lot when you got 12 lights on the building. So that's something that would be taken off to save that money. And we've been kind of going through, looking through here, trying to knock down as much as we can to save as much money as we can.
Dean, where did you get,
plan that's up there right
This
now?
is the JBS plan, yes.
Dean, where did you get the price on the 2,500? I don't have that.
He told us that.
Okay.
When he was.
That was after we got it back, that was something we seen that could come out or whatever.
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
That's $2,500 per light.
per light pole.
And base and fixture, that whole
Yeah,
assembly.
That was to have it installed.
Does that include wiring to it? and
That'd be like, just take that piece out, $2,500, that makes sense.
Oh, okay. They looked at, when they designed it too, they looked at it, so down the road, if we ever had to add on to it for any reason, it'd be easier to add on to than the one that we originally looked at. If we had to add on for anything down the road, it would be easier to do, they said. The only thing we seen after he left, we got looking at it, and the way he laid it out on the property, he had the building turned opposite of how we want it. So we gotta talk to him about that when we go to do the final design drawings and stuff, so that gets switched. Cause he had doors going north and south instead of east and west. If anybody wants to see it, and the plan's good, they're over there on the table, you can take a look at it.
For the most part, this is the building that the fire department wants to go with, other than a few changes that you mentioned.
Yep. What we wanna do before they do the final design, after we get everybody's approval and we start moving ahead, we'll sit down and we'll say, okay, we'll get everything finalized, get a price from him, the final price, and say, okay, we're, should be down from where we're at, because this thing's we're taking off. But,
Just one comment about the price for everyone. When Jim from JBS was here, we asked him, how accurate is this figure? And he said that he has no doubt that he can build this building with this amount of money. The actual structure itself, he said there should be no surprises. The only concern, which it would be the same concern no matter who built the building, would be on the estimating part of it. If they were to uncover anything that was an unknown, that could affect the price. But as far as the building itself, he said this number is a pretty firm number.
He said, if I give you this number, it will be this number.
He said that in the original meeting we had with him. That question was asked.
Question I've got on this video, I guess, if we're building loan, what's the building loan, right?
It's for a turnkey building at that site with the ground prep, the septic. I know we've been talking about the city sewer. In my opinion, I think we should just look at this building tonight as the building itself and look at the city sewer as a separate project, maybe something we can do down the road.
Well, my question is, you got this bid for the building.
That's turnkey, that's asphalt, everything.
That's for fill, you got put in there?
That's everything, that's for us.
If you look in there, there's a-
Done.
That's
Dave
the
Lang
pavement and
actually-
everything.
Okay.
Dave Lane actually gave him the price.
There's a bid on there for the fill, we got in there.
He went,
My understanding was about 4 foot of fill, to bring in, the building and ground up the code. And put the septic tank in, all that,
he actually went out to Dave Lang and talked to him. And there's a spot in there that gives everything that he listed out and the price that it was gonna be for that.
He did farm out that building to electricians, plumbers, concrete guys, and all the prices we've got in there are actual quotes. We got the best prices from whoever uses over it.
On the bottom of the front sheet, it says, excavation is required for the parking lot, sidewalk, apron, etc. Cut and fill grades as necessary. It talks about the gravel. It talks about 12-inch of compacted sand base, 90%, 95% standard Proctor. Earth grade changes, site stripping, and distribution of topsoil. Culverts, drives, general grading. It's got everything in there. I've gone through this and we're even gonna replant grass that they disturbed. So,
Dave even had the dual tank septic system all figured into his price.
yep, so that's included in the 97,000. Dean, one thing I thought about when we just said this, if in the future we do hook up city sewer to that, I think we should have a connection of some type out at the road that we can just hook up instead of tearing up driveway and concrete or whatever to get to that building. Sidewalks and everything. So, I think when we talk to JBS, that should be an issue. I think, does everybody agree?
You're jumping way ahead because the problem ain't gonna happen anyway.
Yeah, I just say that's all the thing on the short trench drains, if there's even any need for that.
You may not even be able to city sewer.
We might not be able to.
Well, you could, but you're not gonna like what all the DEQs are required and what's gonna happen.
Okay.
I've been in contact with DEQ and I don't know if you wanna wait or you want me to get on this real quick or.
Well, it's probably in the best interest of everybody here to know.
Let's wrap up this portion and then we can.
Yeah, Max, let's wrap this up first and then, or should we hear Max while we're talking about city sewer?
It's pretty much the building right there. If anybody's got any questions, they can.
I didn't see any provisions in here for indoor washing equipment inside the bays.
There's,
Things.
there's actually, if you look,
It's in the proposal right here.
yeah,
It's in your proposal.
they got floor drains under every truck, and then in the proposal, there's a spot where they're gonna have hose connections out every so far in the building for washing.
Thanks for bringing that up.
There's gonna be a 2.5-inch standpipe for filling trucks.
There was one thing that he did mention that up in the mezzanine area that was gonna be at least a 10-foot high ceiling up there, and the way that they insulate would be almost like this ceiling up here, so it'd be almost finished, ready to go.
Yep.
This package, if I remember right, when we got the original price back last May, this was with the premium insulation in this package also.
This one has,
It is.
It is.
I think this is actually better than what he originally quoted. What's in here?
We decided on the forced air heat then, right? I wasn't at the last meeting either, so
Yes, it's forced air in the office and it's the radiant tube heats out
okay,
in
that's what he
the.
recommended.
And there's also air conditioning in the offices.
Yeah, he's got R38 in the roof and R25 on the walls.
There's four radiant tube heaters, for the truck bays. There's one CO2 detector with exhaust fan and intake louvers at the truck bay. There's 2 restroom exhaust fans, 1 shower room exhaust fan, and a 92% forced air furnace, and a matching AC condenser, gas piping, registers, grills, ductwork, venting, thermostats, all that stuff's included.
Like I said, this is a pretty comprehensive package they put together. It's very-
We've been going through it. For the people that don't know, we started on this almost 15 years ago. And we've been working and trying to get everybody on the same page, and it's been rough because dealing with the 3 entities, every time there's an election, you start over again. Every time somebody on the fire board would change, you'd start over again.
You raised a good point there. One of the reasons that this meeting was scheduled with all 3 units, hopefully, the boards and councils, optimistically, they would get enough information, the same information, that they could vote on. Does anybody here have a quorum with them?
We do.
For the city?
John is supposed to be here.
I mean, each unit has to decide when and how they're gonna vote, but the idea was that at least we would have the opportunity to present exactly the same information, everybody could ask their questions, and hopefully there would be enough information that they could vote tonight, or at least soon.
With that being said, could you go over a little more detail the financing option as far as, because I think Tobacco Township has the most information as far as talking to the bank.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I talked to, Bill Lang talked to Chemical Bank and had me referred to him, and I talked to the attorney, Noah Canfield. We can get the 15-year installment loan without going through the state for approval. Chemical Bank says they will give us that loan. Right now, it's at 2.89%. I talked to them about, because at least tobacco doesn't want to take the full 15 years. If we do one mortgage and we pay off early, that doesn't change your monthly payments. So the 2 remaining units have to try to come up with the same. So our idea is that we each sign a separate mortgage and we can pay it off however that unit decides, up to the full 15 years, without being affected by what the other unit does. But the problem is that when you get that loan, it's a 3-party loan. You have to go in with the authority from each of the 3 units to sign. You have to have the bank, and you have to have the contractor. All of them have to be there at the same time to sign the paper. So we can't go in now and get the loan because we don't have the contract. And it wouldn't be, there's no point at 4% loans, payments on your savings, there's no point in getting an early loan. But anyway, it looked like that it's going to be a fairly simple project to get that money fairly quickly. Any questions about that? Particularly the separate mortgage. Yeah.
Bill, presently there's approximately $60,000 in the fire department budget. Because we have added an additional amount of money, all 3 entities, to looking down the road to make this payment. Are you suggesting that we don't use that money?
No.
We go out and get a loan and
Well, now we're talking about getting a loan that would be less than the full amount, because there's a certain amount already, building department has, the fire department has some money. We use that money. We borrow what's left over that we need. So we don't know, after this budget's paid, they should have somewhere around $120,000.
including this year's budget, there should be, because we had 60 from last year, we had 60,000 in the budget that was just approved.
The point I'm trying to make.
So we take that money and use that money to pay off,
front.
and instead of borrowing 800,000, we borrow less.
But I think what Carrie's asking is that $60,000 that we budgeted for the payment,
Would be all,
that money, it wouldn't be both. We wouldn't be paying on separate loans and that 60,000.
right.
That 60,000 would come out of, off the budget, you wouldn't even see that from now on. It wouldn't even go, the money wouldn't go through the fire department, each entity would pay that up front.
Well, I'm not sure that Beaverton can come up with the money to make the 15-year payment. You're talking a considerable amount of money for a short term. It was always my understanding that when we increased our portion of funding for the fire department, now that it's generating an extra 60,000 every year, that 60,000 would have been the payment for this proposed building.
Right, but you wouldn't be paying that 60,000, it wouldn't be in anybody's budget now. You'd be paying, whatever your portion of that 60,000 is, you would be paying it alone.
Right, the payment's not actually going up, I believe.
No.
It's
So
still
you're saying
in the
our
60.
contribution to the fire department's gonna be down.
Right.
It's gonna be the same as what was budgeted, it's just going to, instead of going to the fire department, it's going to go to the portion that was allocated for the building that is in the budget now. That will come out of the budget, and that will go towards the separate loan. So
And it's gonna take an additional money on top of that because it's such a short term.
No, it isn't. I had that sheet, I didn't thought we were past it. The payments on that are less than $60,000 a year. It was real affordable.
Bill, I just calculated 60,000 times 15 years, it's $900,000.
Yeah, but that comes the interest.
Well, not with a.
You still got it?
Communicate with the whole congregation.
Well, this is a discussion on City of Beaverton's problem, not everybody else.
Okay.
Well, ultimately, though, it is everyone's problem.
Right.
Because all three entities have to be working together here. And looking at the information we had from before, if we borrow $720,000, which I believe that was based on the assumption that the fire department has $120,000 in the bank based on the $60,000 per year that we've already put away. An interest rate of 2.79%, we'd be making semi-annual payments of $24,000, so $48,000 a year. So that's well under the $60,000. 48. And that's 2 payments a year, $24,000.
If you look at it one way, Joe, let's just lump it into one year sum. It's, you could, to say it simply, it would be 3 entities paying $67,000, but Beaverton would be paying less because of the community, the size of the community. Everybody's payment's gonna be smaller. Bill, what do you have to say?
Well, the way I did it, and the bank was agreeable to doing it, you're paying $24,000 on principal per payment. So annually, it amounts to $48,000. Every year, you pay the same amount on the principal, and you pay the interest that's due. And that makes your payments higher at the first, but really drops them later on. And if you figure it out, the interest is, you'll pay less interest doing it this way.
So, for example, in 2014, we'd be paying a total of $67,000.
67, but by 2028, it's 49.
But I think if tobacco is going to pay more than, to get us started, you're putting money down on it?
No, that money is already in the fund.
No, I'm talking about us putting the money up front to bring that loan down.
We have,
That's what I'm talking about.
we have, tobacco has money in their fire fund. We will not borrow our full 61.
Right, right, and we wouldn't either.
But still, the amount being borrowed is gonna be 720. That's the sum that was going to the bank. Now, how each entity ends up doing it, we would be putting money down, Tobacco Township would be putting money down, so they wouldn't be borrowing the full percentage of that 720. The city would still be borrowing 12% unless they wanted to put money down. So their payment would be the 12% of 67,000 a year.
So when it comes to really going to the bank and saying, hey, here's this money, you know,
The only money that's gonna be put down is the money that the fire department has been saving for the building.
All they're talking, they have money separate in bank accounts, when they go get your loan, they're gonna put it in the top.
Right, right.
If you bring your principal down, your interest is gonna come down accordingly. And this total includes your interest. So paying a big bunch up front is gonna take the payment way down.
yeah, because right now, when you put this money in the bank, you're not getting any interest
No,
anyway.
no.
So you might as well put it on something that you're going to profit.
For the record, how much money does the fire department have in the fund?
In the fund. 60,000? 120,000.
Right, that's how this is figured, you know, the 840 might.
Well, right now, it's 60.
24,000.
Jill's got checks on the townships.
Yeah, well,
Basically 100,000.
So, Bill,
I went on the 835. I think I'm on
so Bill, if I've got this right then, Tobacco Township has $120,000 of our own money.
No,
No, fire.
the fire district.
We have approximately 100,000 of our own. Now, what this is gonna do, the reason they're talking about 720 instead of 850 or 900 is because of this money in the fire fund and ours. We're not gonna borrow our full share.
That's right.
But we're gonna pay the 61%, but we've already got some of it. Apparently Beaverton does too, Beaverton Township.
So, what he's saying then is the money we're gonna borrow is gonna be considerably less than the 35,000 that we need.
Roger that, yeah.
Yep. So the payments will be down and the interest will be down.
And there's no point in us keeping our fund, we're getting a quarter of a percent. And we can save 2.9.
Right. Does everybody understand that now?
I'm understanding that's per entity, right? I mean, the ones that, like, I don't know, the city, if they didn't have nothing, they,
Well, then you would borrow your full share.
right, exactly, that's what I'm saying, so what I'm saying exactly is, it's if the entity's got the extra money, you're good.
What's their share?
What they're talking about, their
15%.
That's just a basic, simple finance. I mean, that's no brainer. But say the entities who don't have it, well, it's not the two entities do, but I don't know what the city has for sure, but, that's what it's all.
We're all set, we have Max talk about sewer.
Is everybody comfortable with the figures now, Kerry?
I'd just like to point out, we're seeing right now why it's taking so long to get this building done. You know, we have 3 entities, and trying to get everyone on the same page, it's pretty difficult.
Are we at the point where we're going to approve one plan or the other? That's the next step.
Right.
Kerry, are you comfortable with what we've covered so far about the financial status of borrowing money? Okay, all right. Joe, are you comfortable? Yeah. Okay, Bill, you're comfortable? Okay. Let's listen to Max first, and then we'll insight on what plan?
Back in April 3rd, guess I'll stand up and hear your voice here real good. Back in April 3rd, we had a meeting and we were talking about maybe projecting a sewer line out to the sewer because they thought maybe they'd get a block grant and then put East Jordan in with it and everything else. So anyways, I had to find out what the city was capable of doing. So I called the DEQ and my first call was to Todd Brookins, he's DEQ environmental quality analyst. He said because the issue, what I understand is they were talking about their oil separator and their tanks and how much they were gonna have them pumped out, and they were trying to get away from that so much. And it seemed that if they hooked to the city sewer, they wouldn't have to have the tank pumped as much. So anyways, this Todd Brookins, he said that he couldn't believe that there was anything that they could, any less pumping they could do by putting a sewer to us because it's still hazardous waste. And he also wanted we had talked about maybe making this sewer system bigger so we could bring on more customers down the line. And then at that point, he told me that we had to check into what we call our confirmed capacity, what Weekend would take in. And then he recommended that I get a hold of this Thomas McDowell, which he's the DEQ person for our area and our system. And so Thomas McDowell and I talked on 410, and he's a PE, environmental engineer, DEQ. He said there wasn't any less pumpage on these tanks that could be done by being hooked to us.
What do you mean by that, Max?
There's an oil separator.
Right.
And your floor drains, and that, of course, separates the oil and hazardous materials. And them tanks have to be pumped. You can't pump them into a sewer or anything else. So you have to have a hazardous material like Safety Clean or something pumped in tanks. The rest of the water is where you gotta figure out what you do with it.
What's the city of Beaverton doing now when we wash our?
You don't want to ask.
We have right now their building is got what they call an oil catch sump, which back when that building was made was what the requirement was, but today it's not, for new construction. Now, when I talked to Thomas McDonald, one of the things, or a few of the things he told me is that, again, it wouldn't make any difference in the tank pumping of hazardous waste from coming to us. Because we're not a mechanical plant, we're just a lagoon system. In other words, we don't treat our sewers, so to speak.
Question for you, Max. Now, once the oil's separated out of that, the water from, like the floor drains, all that goes to a separator, they separate the oil stuff out.
Correct.
That water then could go to the city or no?
Yes, but here's the deal. If any water, if a line would come to the city, the DEQ would require, let me get that part of it, a catch basin, for a sample basin, they call it, where we would have to sample the water monthly, which, again, is another cost burden. Now, he also told me there's a few ways this can be handled. The water that's left over from that, well, and like I said, let me get back to the other part too, where we couldn't go to a bigger line because we're already too close to our confirmed capacity just for the size of Beaverton. So we couldn't put in a bigger line to take on more customers. But he said there was a few things that could happen, a few different ways it could happen. One, you call your local health department and see what their requirements or practices on you could put that water into a drain field. The other thing is you could call Lansing to the DEQ, to the permit department, and get a NPDES, and don't ask me what that stands for, I don't know, permit that you could actually may be able to put that water to the ditch, to a ditch drain. And other than that, like I say, as far as going to the city, you know, you're talking, well, their first thought was 80-some thousand, and that's gonna be way out, because like I said, there's gonna be test basins and stuff like that, so you're gonna be way above that cost, and
See, originally, when we started talking about the tank and the pump and the waste, we were told that anything that comes off the floor drain, even after the separator's gotta be handled as hazardous waste.
yes, and like I say, from what I talked,
But if you don't need it, if it's not required, I'm not the only vote in this room.
Is the insurer gonna require it?
No. I'll find that out.
Make sure you have enough fire ground. We have enough.
Who is there?
We don't have one here.
Huh?
They call, Schumacher?
No, I'll get ahold of our guy.
Okay.
I'm almost sure we don't have to have it.
What's our current?
And that's it, guys.
That's the one that needs a sprinkler. The existing one.
If we look at it that way, Bob, our current building doesn't have anything. And granted, you know, if we build a new building,
All we gotta do is meet code. We don't meet the code.
if it's $25,000, I mean, if we can save that money.
It's $375 every year to have it inspected.
Yep.
That's scheduled one for us.
$800,000 building. Kerry, did you have something to add?
Is that what you got insurance for?
Okay, all right. Well, I've covered all the contracting notes that I've got today, questions on.
My
Right.
people list.
Are we ready to vote?
That's as far as it went this year? No, it's not. Okay.
No,
Can we break off and
Again.
discuss this for a moment?
from this time, wait, Terry,
Can we break off in groups and discuss this for a short amount of time?
you sure can, I'd be glad. Do you want, what group do you want to break into, Kerry?
Each township,
Each
city by
township?
ourselves, yeah, so they can discuss.
Okay,
To approve each plan, each entity has to vote separately.
Right.
This is not a joint vote.
okay.
Everybody-
Before we do that, I'd like just to
Now,
offer up.
which plan, the 5 bay, is that what we're
Yeah.
primarily looking for?
Yeah.
And JBS as the contractor. It has to be.
Before we go into the separate groups, I'd just like to offer a quick summary of how we got to JBS and this print and this cost. Last year, we have contacted up to 5 contractors. We talked to, we attempted to get a bid from Woolgas. We got a number from FED. We got a number from Three Rivers. We've got a number from Goodrow and Associates, and we even contacted General Steel.
Three Rivers.
Yeah, we got numbers from Three Rivers. Based on the quote, what was included in the quote, what was not included in the quote, the total, we've come to a general consensus that JBS was providing the most detailed quote with a competitive number for a good building. And that's how we got to JBS tonight. I just wanted to offer that to everyone in case there's any questions as to why we were looking at JBS and if this number was a competitive number. I mean, we've got numbers, I mean, from the original number, which was in the millions, and we had a number as low as 832, but that quote wasn't quite as detailed as what this is, so it leaves a lot of questions. Okay, where are they leaving it? Where are they putting in? Where are they including? Where are they leaving out?
Joe, I'd like to make a comment too. When I applied for the zoning board, the zoning paperwork, Justin Snyder asked me if I had a contractor in mind. And I said, we jointly, we kind of think we're gonna go with JBS. And he said, good. He said, they're a good company to work with, they're compassionate, they make sure they do stuff right, they got a good safety record, and he gave me the nod on them. He knows them all by name.
Okay, so each unit's gonna go 5 bay up or down right now?
Yep,
Well, we're gonna break up and talk about it here.
plan A.
It's gonna get together and
I got
discuss.
one question, Bob.
Go ahead.
Everybody knows the percent they're paying, right, on this?
Yeah,
Well, it's on,
Beaver
27%.
Township's at 27%.
27%,
Mhm.
60,
That's right.
61.
get it back to order, guys. Okay, all the three entities has gotten a group and made their vote. Let's start with Tobacco Township,
We approved the 5 bay with financing.
okay,
And JBS.
and JBS, okay. Joe?
Yeah, we accepted JBS's bid for the $836,000 for the 5-bay building and the financing, 15 years in each of the individual mortgages.
Okay. Terry?
The city agrees with the plan of JBS, with a cost of $135,626. And we understand that we'll be responsible for 12% of that cost.
Okay. It's a happy day for me, you guys. We just got one step further, a big step, let's have a round of applause. I've got one more announcement. Madeline, I got one more announcement. Bill Clark is volunteering to go up to Gladwin to the zoning convention. He's got to go up there tomorrow anyway, so it's gonna save a trip.
It's
Yeah.
closed tomorrow.
Friday?
Yeah.
Well then,
Government goes back.
you gonna do it Monday then, Bill? You gonna do it Monday then, or?
They're closed.
They're closed Friday.
Well, they better open up.
Yeah, anyway, Bill Clark is volunteered to take care of the zoning commission. If you've got any problems, I think he's gonna talk to me or Bill Lang. If you need somebody to step in. I thank everybody for coming tonight. All your views and opinions and everything was appreciated. Joe's got something else.
So what's the next step now? Who's gonna get with JBS?
Okay. The Board of Authority appointed Craig Brubaker to contact JBS because.
Craig Bergman.
Hey, Dean. The Board of Authority had Craig Brubaker. Bergman. Sorry, Bergman. But anyway, Matt Fucci has taken that over since he was on the fire department. And the firemen had changes that they wanted to communicate with JBS. So I'm gonna contact Matt Fucci tomorrow and have him get a hold of Jim from JBS and let him know that these are contractors. And if there's any other changes, what do you got?
Well, what we'll have to do is the authority's gonna have to meet.
Alrighty, thank you.
Or each township's gonna have to sign a copy of that to give to him, of that plan.
Yeah, there is on there. I'm glad you brought that up, Gene, it is. There's a contract on the back.
Yeah, but that isn't $2 amount because it still has the white and stuff.
You wanna use that as everybody's agreement to take it online? And just sign on that way, you back out. I got mine. That's all you need to do.
I got lots. No, you don't.
Put this right here, let it burn.
Oh, wait,
Look at my day number.
Must be close to 30 something.
63 is on there.
63.
Wow, good job.
Okay.
I tried it, and I went 2 days.
She's rough.
Come on, dude. 6 months of no drinking, and 6 months after.
One more thing.
Now I look back and think,
Your payments are gonna drop from what you.
it wasn't easy when I was doing it.
The changes in the lighting is gonna drop the price in the bid. And Matt Trucci is gonna get a hold of JBS tomorrow and let them know what the bid is. And we're gonna get a final number. That's gonna be less than what we got tonight because of the lighting changes. We're gonna get 3 more contracts drawn up on the back where it says, accepted by, and the date. We'll have to have the city sign it, Beaverton Township and Tobacco Township, each sign these, and we'll get it back. Okay, that's it.
We're done.
And you guys think we should have a meeting next Thursday also? Well, we're communicating here. I don't wanna wait until next month. I don't wanna wait until next month.
Call a special meeting of the building authority.
Yep, that's what we're gonna do.
You told me again, you want me to help you pay for the fire hall?
Hey, Ray, I'm gonna have Dean post a board of authority meeting for